The iron gates of Westbrook Hills Country Club opened only for people who belonged there. At least, that was the rule the guards believed in. On a bright Saturday morning, luxury cars rolled through the gates, one after another: Bentleys, Mercedes, Teslas. Every guest, dressed in polished golf attire, stepped out with quiet confidence. Westbrook Hills wasn't just a country club. It was a symbol of wealth and status in Connecticut, the kind of place where membership alone cost more than most people's yearly salary. At exactly 9:12 a.m., a man approached the front gate on foot. He wasn't dressed like the others. No designer golf outfit. No luxury watch flashing in the sunlight. Just a simple navy shirt, dark jeans, and worn brown boots. The guards noticed him immediately. One of them, a tall white man named Rick, stepped forward with his arms crossed. "Hold it right there," Rick said. The man stopped calmly a few feet from the gate. His posture was relaxed, his expression unreadable. "Can I help you?" the man asked politely. Rick looked him up and down slowly. "This entrance is for members only," Rick said. "Service entrance is around the back." The man glanced toward the elegant driveway where another white couple in a luxury SUV was being waved through without question. "I'm actually here for a meeting," the man replied. Rick let out a short laugh. "A meeting," he repeated. The second guard beside him chuckled quietly. Rick shook his head. "Look, man, I don't know who told you that, but this place doesn't do walk-ins." The man remained calm. "My name is Marcus Bennett," he said. "I was invited." Rick didn't even bother checking a list. "Yeah, okay," he said sarcastically. "And I'm the president." A few members nearby started glancing over. Westbrook Hills guests were not used to seeing someone like Marcus standing at the gate. One woman whispered to her husband, "Why is he here?" Another guest slowed down to watch the interaction. Marcus spoke again, still patient. "If you could just call the main office, they're expecting me." Rick's expression hardened. "Listen," he said, lowering his voice slightly. "I'm not calling anyone for you." He pointed toward the street behind Marcus. "You can turn around and leave." Marcus didn't move. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then Rick stepped closer. "Did you hear what I said?" Marcus looked him directly in the eyes. "Yes." Rick waited, but Marcus still didn't leave. The tension at the gate was beginning to draw attention now. Two golfers, walking toward the clubhouse, stopped to watch. One of them pulled out his phone. Rick's patience snapped. "All right, that's it," he muttered. He grabbed his radio. "Security to front gate. I've got someone refusing to leave." Marcus sighed quietly. Within 2 minutes, a small electric security cart rolled toward the entrance. 3 additional guards stepped out. Rick pointed directly at Marcus. "This guy claims he has a meeting." One of the guards laughed immediately. "A meeting here?" Another guard folded his arms. "You a delivery driver or something?" Marcus didn't answer. Guests were openly watching now. A man in a golf hat shook his head. "People really try anything these days," he said to his friend. Rick looked satisfied. "Escort him out," he said. One of the guards stepped forward and grabbed Marcus's arm. The moment his hand touched Marcus, a voice shouted from across the driveway, "WAIT." Everyone turned. A black limousine had just pulled up to the main entrance of the club. The car door opened. 3 older men in expensive suits stepped out quickly. They looked nervous. One of them spotted Marcus immediately. "Oh my..." The man hurried across the driveway almost at a run. Rick frowned. "Sir, please stay back," he said. But the suited man ignored him completely. He walked straight up to Marcus. "Mr. Bennett, I am so sorry." The entire entrance area went silent. Rick blinked. "Wait, what?" The man in the suit turned slowly toward the guards. His expression was furious. "Why," he said carefully, "is the man we hired being treated like a criminal at the gate?" Rick looked confused. "Hired?" Another suited board member stepped forward. "This is Marcus Bennett." His voice was sharp. "The architect we brought here today." Several guests gasped. Marcus Bennett was one of the most respected architects in America. His designs had transformed luxury resorts, private clubs, and 5-star hotels across the country. Westbrook Hills had spent months trying to secure him, and now he was standing outside their gate, being detained by security. Rick's face went pale. I didn't know." The board member stared at him coldly. "You didn't ask." Marcus gently brushed dust off his sleeve. "It's all right," he said calmly. But the board members were clearly panicking. Another one stepped forward. "Mr. Bennett, please come inside. The entire renovation committee is waiting for you inside the main conference hall," the board member said nervously. Marcus nodded slowly. He glanced once at the guards who had been blocking him just moments ago. None of them could meet his eyes now. Rick cleared his throat awkwardly. "Sir, I didn't realize." Marcus raised a hand politely, stopping him. "It's fine," Marcus said calmly. But everyone standing there knew it wasn't fine. The board members quickly escorted Marcus through the gates. The same gates that had just been closed to him opened wide now. Guests watched in stunned silence. As Marcus walked toward the clubhouse, whispers spread through the crowd. Did he say Marcus Bennett? The architect? I've seen his work in Miami. Those resorts are unbelievable. Inside the massive marble lobby of Westbrook Hills Country Club, the atmosphere was completely different. A group of executives and board members had been anxiously waiting around a long glass conference table. Blueprints, tablets, and design proposals were spread across the surface. The moment Marcus entered the room, everyone stood up. Mr. Bennett, one woman said with visible relief. We were worried something had happened. Marcus gave a polite smile. Just a small delay at the gate. The board members who had escorted him exchanged uncomfortable glances. One of them spoke quickly. Let's begin. Marcus placed a sleek black folder on the table and opened it slowly. Inside were detailed architectural renderings. Westbrook Hills Country Club had hired him to completely redesign their property. The aging clubhouse, golf facilities, spa areas, and luxury villas were about to undergo a transformation worth over $200 million. Marcus turned one of the digital screens toward the group. The first image appeared. Gasps filled the room. The design was breathtaking. The old clubhouse would be replaced with a modern glass structure overlooking the golf course, rooftop lounges, infinity pools, private dining terraces, luxury suites for elite members. One board member leaned forward in amazement. This will make us the most exclusive club in the Northeast. Marcus nodded. That's the goal. For the next hour, he walked them through every detail of the project. Landscaping, redesign, private guest villas, a new luxury spa, even an underground wine cellar designed for private tastings. The board members were mesmerized. But halfway through the presentation, Marcus paused. He looked around the table. There's something else we need to discuss. The room grew quiet. One board member frowned slightly. What is it? Marcus folded his hands. The entrance. A few people exchanged confused looks. The entrance, someone asked. Marcus nodded. Yes. He tapped the screen, and a new design appeared. It showed the front gates of Westbrook Hills, but completely redesigned. The board leaned closer. The new entrance will include a welcome pavilion, Marcus explained, a modern glass structure where every guest is greeted properly. One board member tilted his head. We already have security for that. Marcus's voice remained calm. Yes, I noticed. Silence fell across the room. Several board members shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Marcus continued. A place like this should represent excellence, he said. But the first experience anyone has here is the gate. No one spoke. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse anyone directly, but everyone in the room understood exactly what he meant. One of the senior board members slowly nodded. You're right. Another sighed, quietly. We clearly have some issues to address. Marcus turned the screen back to the architectural plans. The design will make the entrance more welcoming, he said, for members, guests, and anyone invited here. The meeting continued for another hour. By the end, the board unanimously approved Marcus Bennett's full renovation proposal, $200 million, the largest project in the club's history. When the meeting ended, Marcus gathered his folder and walked toward the lobby. Outside the massive glass doors, he could see the front gate in the distance. The same guards were still there. Rick stood stiffly near the entrance, clearly waiting. As Marcus stepped outside, Rick walked forward slowly. His voice was quiet now. Mr. Bennett. Marcus stopped. Rick looked deeply uncomfortable. I owe you an apology, he said. Marcus studied him for a moment. Rick continued. I made assumptions. I shouldn't have. Marcus nodded slightly. Thank you for saying that, Rick exhaled. I hope this doesn't affect your opinion of the club. Marcus glanced back at the beautiful property stretching across the hills, the golf course, the elegant clubhouse, the people laughing on the terraces. Then he looked back at Rick. Policy is defined by how it treats people, Marcus said. Rick didn't respond. Marcus gave a small nod and walked toward the parking area where a car was waiting for him. Behind him, the gates of Westbrook Hills Country Club remained wide open. But for the first time in a long time, the people inside were beginning to realize those gates didn't just keep people out. Sometimes they revealed exactly who they were. Marcus had almost reached the waiting car when he stopped. Something made him turn around. From where he stood, he could see the entire entrance of Westbrook Hills Country Club, the tall iron gates, the long driveway lined with perfectly trimmed hedges, the guards standing stiffly near their posts. Just 1 hour earlier, those same gates had felt like a wall. Now they stood open. Rick noticed Marcus looking back and slowly walked closer again. Sir, if there's anything we can do to make this right, Rick said carefully. Marcus studied the gate for a moment before answering. You already started, Marcus said. Rick looked confused. How? Marcus pointed toward the clubhouse. Your board listened. Rick nodded slowly. Marcus continued, his voice calm but thoughtful. A lot of places pretend problems don't exist. They ignore them, or they blame misunderstandings. Rick looked down at the ground. Marcus wasn't speaking angrily. In fact, his tone was almost reflective. But today, Marcus continued, something different happened. Rick looked up again. You saw the problem. Marcus gave a small smile. And now you have a chance to fix it. Rick took a slow breath. I will, he said quietly. Marcus nodded and turned back toward the car again. But before he reached it, a group of club members approached him from the clubhouse patio. 3 men and a woman, all dressed in golf attire. One of the men stepped forward. Mr. Bennett. Marcus stopped. The man extended his hand. I just wanted to say, that presentation was incredible. Marcus shook his hand politely. Thank you. The woman beside him spoke next. I've seen your resort design in Arizona. It completely transformed the property. Marcus smiled slightly. I'm glad you liked it. Another member chuckled. I guess Westbrook Hills is about to become the most impressive club in the country. Marcus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked past them, toward the gate again. The design will help, he said. But buildings alone don't change a place. The members exchanged curious looks. What do you mean? The woman asked. Marcus turned back toward them. A place becomes great because of the people inside it, he said. His words hung in the air for a moment. One of the men nodded slowly. I suppose you're right. Another member looked slightly embarrassed. We heard what happened at the gate earlier. Marcus's didn't react. The man continued. That shouldn't have happened here. Marcus simply gave a polite nod. The woman sighed. Westbrook Hills has always had a reputation for being exclusive. Marcus understood what she meant. Exclusive was often just another word people used. But he didn't say that out loud. Instead, he said something else. Every place decides what kind of reputation it wants. The group stood quietly for a moment. Then the first man smiled. Well, I think today might be the beginning of a new one. Marcus gave a small, respectful nod. I hope so. They shook hands again before the members returned toward the clubhouse. Marcus finally stepped into the waiting car. As the vehicle pulled slowly down the long driveway, he looked out the window one last time. The gates grew smaller in the distance. But something had clearly changed. At the entrance, Rick had already begun speaking with the other guards. Their posture was different now. Less rigid, more aware. A young couple approached the gate a moment later, clearly unsure if they were in the right place. Rick stepped forward to greet them. Marcus couldn't hear what was being said from the car, but he could see Rick speaking calmly, asking questions instead of making assumptions. Marcus leaned back in his seat. Sometimes change didn't start with grand speeches. Sometimes it started with a single moment of realization. The car reached the end of the driveway and turned onto the main road. Behind him, Westbrook Hills Country Club continued its busy Saturday morning. Golf carts moved across the greens. Members laughed on the patios. And somewhere inside the clubhouse, blueprints for a $200 million transformation sat waiting. But Marcus knew something far more important than architecture had already begun changing that day. Because the most powerful redesign was never about buildings. It was about perspective, and once people saw the world a little differently, even the strongest gates in the world could no longer keep progress out.